Complexity and DC. DC playing for their lives. Complexity looking to finish it off 2-0.
Yeah, certainly both teams sort of have the tools to deal with the opponent. I mean, Drow's not a hero that does particularly well against Meepo, so you could sort of say that Complexity are kind of all-inning with their draft. Especially with this Drow pick, because Drow's like one of the worst heroes in my opinion against Meepo. You know, you can't really get away from the Meepo. Meepo's a hero that buys Blink and wants to like be in melee range of you, so that marksmanship aura that marksmanship ultimate from Drow's a little bit less effective. So I think what it really comes down to this game is really just the Blink timing on Abed on this Meepo. So I think whoever really wins that first team fight that results in the Roshan will have sort of a huge upper hand this game, just because you know, if Abed picks up the Aegis at a good time, the game just sort of ends for
30 seconds
for Complexity.
We'll have to see how well Complexity do in this early game. There is quite a bit of push that comes from DC in both the Meepo and the Jakiro. You said those first couple of fights are going to be very important, as well as the first Roche. I feel like with an Aegis on the side of DC, you can see definitely 2, maybe 3 towers just get demolished by DC quickly.
The battle begins.
You can see Moon Meanders on the he's going to be moving around a lot with 3 clarities and boots of speed, so really he's going to be an early playmaker for his team, and there's really not a lot of kill potential he can get, so I think most of what Moon Meander is going to be doing this game is preventing his heroes from getting picked off, at least until the Meepo hits level 3, because I think Meepo does have a lot of kill potential on Puck, but he needs the levels first.
He's going to be Abed on this Meepo up against the Limp. We'll see how he does in the early goings of this game. They've got Moon Meander sitting a little bit behind Abed mid. I think he's going for a block of any kind. He's just going to let these creeps move on forward, but we'll see how Abed deals with Limp in the early couple of levels, and we'll see if Moon Meander kind of stays nearby or not.
Yeah, and this is a Drow, Aura, Puck, and Nature's Prophet, so Complexity should have advantage in these 2 solo lanes.
Right away, the charge comes through on Mason. They actually get a nicely placed fissure that'll block Kyle out from getting back towards his side. A nice body block comes in from Moon Meander, and now the Spirit Breaker might be in trouble. He's got the Arcane Curse on 3 of these heroes. Moon Meander very low, down to 25 health, not going to be picked off, so First Blood still not taken by either side.
And DC sort of win this exchange, right? They're making Complexity use way more regen items. I mean, the Spirit Breaker's all out of regen items and is half HP, so DC sort of in a good position this lane. I think in a couple of levels, if Complexity don't sort of start chipping away at Mason or any of these supports, Complexity might be in a little bit of trouble in this lane, especially since both pulls are available for Bulba.
Over mid, Abed surviving with 19 health. Just survived one more shot from Limp, would have been enough, but now he's got that second Meepo for him, so not exactly a solo lane anymore. We'll have to see how now with the Meepo going back to heal when he comes back, how they're going to handle this mid Puck over for Abed on the side of DC.
Just because DC have sort of survived the first 2 minutes, I think they're on track to achieving their win condition, just because Complexity have to get a lot more done in this early game than DC in order to win this game, and just the nature of Complexity's lineup requires sort of a snowball leading into the 10-minute mark.
Up against Moo, you take a look at the Jakiro, who is not exactly keeping up with the Nature's Prophet, but 6 last hits not exactly terrible when you're up against, say, Drought or a Nature's Prophet. Is it really that important for this Jakiro to really hit his farm, or, you know, just getting levels is going to be enough for him?
Yeah, off-lane Jakiro is a new concept to me, but, you know, the thing that really defines Jakiro is that he scales really well with levels, and he helps his team take objectives in the mid-game.
This is ours.
And Nature's Prophet sort of this a lane dominator to begin with. I'm pretty sure Nature's Prophet will win this game. So I'm gonna take a lot of damage.
blast as well as the charge coming in from Kyle. It'll, in fact, be first blood for Z-Freak. He gets this kill on Oped, and you know, the early styling Oped that they're looking for. And now up top, you get a Fissure with the dual breath. They're not going to be able to stop this TP. They'll just push him all the way back. The Treant's doing an amazing job at blocking Moonyander.
Who actually has his TP again, so he's going to go for a kill here.
The salve will get him high enough, and Moonyander will be able to stay in lane, but that was almost so close to him going down just because Treant blocks in tower down.
Don't mind if I do.
So, you know, Complexity, they get a pretty good because of sort of this gap in vision coming up from DC. There's really no one scouting their jungle, there's no wards in their jungle, so Spirit Breaker and Wyvern have been free to move around. That being said, you know, from my experience playing against Meepo and watching Meepo games,
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Mojo's gonna go down top maybe. My experience from watching Meepo games, like it's never enough to just kill him once. You sort of have to take the jungle away from him and his team in order to truly shut him down.
They might be able to do that again. They've got Moonyander nearby as Z-Freak was trying to be a little bit aggressive, but now forced to use that Arcane Curse, get over the Fissure, pop himself back. Will not stop him from harassing Oped just once with that Arcane Curse attack.
Let's see. You know, they don't really have a net worth in right now. It's pretty much even. I'm sure Chessie really isn't in the position that he wants to be right now. He's sort of being pressured a lot in his bottom lane, especially with his two supports moving around. And perhaps, you know, Swollen Melons and Z-Freak roaming around the mid lane is hurting them more than it's benefiting the Complexity lineup, since this Drow is actually going to be in a position to die here. Moonyander's wrapping around.
Bottom, the Fissure landing Chessie on the wrong side. So now let's take a look back over mid. They were looking like they were going to set up on this Meepo, but now the charge coming through all the way on a Moonyander. He actually stops it just a moment before. You've got Mason, Bulba, and Moonyander ready to counter any aggression coming in from the Spirit Breaker. And the second I look away from mid, they use the Dream Coil. They get the kill on Meepo. An easy kill for both Z-Freak and Limp as they get their lead up to 2-0 kill.
You know, that kill is quite huge for them because it gets a little bit of the XP on the puck, which means the puck will be in a better position to help Drow catch up in the game, especially since Mu is already doing quite well on the top lane. But as I say that, there's a little bit of rotation happening up top. Spirit Breaker's charging in. Looks like Drow Ranger's TPing in, and Mu looks like he's baiting himself right now.
So Zero nearby, the dual breath actually comes out onto Mu. He'll immediately TP back as there's the gust as well as the charge coming in from Kyle and Chessie counter respectively. The one got Chessie to get the kill. They look towards Bulba, should be another one in Complexity. Up. They look towards Moonyander, who might have put himself in the bad spot, and he'll die as well. So 3 kills here for the side of Complexity. They now lead 5-0.
Yeah, and that's the lead that Complexity unit need. So, you know, as I mentioned in the draft, in order to really shut down a Meepo or shut down a timing-oriented lineup in general, you sort of have to shut down not the Meepo himself, but DC's team, because now DC aren't in a position to defend. Here goes down. DC aren't in a position to defend if Complexity decide to group up and start knocking down towers, so we'll see if Complexity decides to do that and how effective they are.
Meanwhile, I just looked at the Winter Wyvern. I've been doing this for too many hours in a row. I just called Winter Wyvern's Arctic Burn Arcane Curse.
Rip.
Oh no.
One more series to go.
Sorry.
Nah, it's fine. So, you know, Meepo's... So Puck's top net worth, right? Meepo's second highest net worth. Abbott really hasn't been hurt. Like, realistically speaking, you know, even though he's been killed twice, he's still able to farm these waves, still able to farm the jungle, and so, you know, Abbott, I think his item timings will be fine. Really, the question is whether or not Complexity will hit their stride before Abbott.
Double damage!
There's a smoke up top from 2 supports.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
You can usually see Meepo top of the net working. Actually, a Fissure as well as an Ice Tap comes out. Maybe 2 stuns you really don't want to stack because that gives you the opportunity for Complexity to get themselves a couple into the retreat of DC, and they get themselves at least one in MSS, another one in Bola. They just hit so hard with this aura coming in from chest.
Also a double damage on so here's complexity in my
Radiant structures are
towers.
fortified.
You know, DC are gonna feel pressured. Probably a discussion that's happening with their team right now. It's like, can we actually defend these towers? Because, you know, there's two things going on here. First, they want to make space for the Meeple, but second of all, they're against the Drow lineup, and playing against Drow lineup also requires sort of a specific playstyle where your team's actually either break even or ahead coming out of the laning phase, and your heroes are well configured to sort of counter pressure or defend the towers against the complexity lineup. But Meepo's not a hero that wants to fight early. In fact, Meepo probably doesn't want to fight until he has at least 2 items, usually Dragonlance or Blink. So DC are probably stuck just trying to get as much out of the map as possible while their Meepo gets farmed.
Like I was saying, you usually see Meepo at the top of the net worth, especially this early on. He's behind almost 1,000 gold to this puck.
Dire's top tower
He's
is
already
under
got
attack.
that veil and now starting towards that blink dagger.
And so, you know, both teams are just sort of taking some breathing room right now, trying to assess the situation, see what kind of opening they spot next. Because,
Don't mind if I do.
you know, Olymp has done his veil, he's working on his blink, and that blink will make him a lot better in these fights. And actually, Abbott's
Going for this play on the move, but I missed that. To take a look. Nabo might be in a little bit of trouble. Now with the recoil on top of him, the waning rift to silence him up. They'll take him out one more time. Mason, he's forced to use that time lapse. Maybe they can find one in return, but it's not looking promising as both Kyle and Z-Freak are starting to run away. The dual breath will slow up the Spirit Breaker, but there's no chase on for the side of DC.
So a nice escape from Moo there, and also a great counter initiation from Complexity enough for the kill. But at the same time, I feel like Abbott sort of messed up there. He definitely had an Earthbind on his second Meepo.
Now Bulba is going to be taken out by Lin. It's another kill for Complexity, now a 4,000 net worth lead. They're looking further towards this Jakiro, the ulti used by Spirit Breaker. One more hit down, and Complexity, they extend that lead even further. Now up 10-1. Are going to charge in on Mason over bottom. No dust for this Spirit Breaker, so Mason should be okay. 3 of these heroes rotate.
So, you know, similar to game 1, Complexity, they managed to have the better laning setup in the early game. I mean, their lanes are much easier. You know, Nature's Prophet against Jakiro, Puck with Drow Aura against Meepo, and so, you know, that mid lane actually is taking a lot of damage.
Ball to Abed, and the first kill coming in here for the Meepo. 1-3-1 to start. He's got a third Meepo. Mason coming over. Might not be the move for Z3 to continue forward. Mason, he's trying to be effective in this game, and now the charge is coming out on him. One more shot will do it. Mason gets the kill, but he's got to get at a dodge. Is coming in is this Spirit Break.
Right before that exchange, I was going to say Complexity were sort of on track to win, but it looks like DC are also putting in a good fight. I mean, those kills are extremely critical for them. They need to slow down Complexity's item progression as much as possible while accelerating their own end. You know, DC, even though they're 3k net worth behind, you know, the game's totally winnable for them. I think Meepo does extremely well against the cores of Complexity. So Complexity aren't careful and they, you know, give up a few kills or here and there again. I think it'll put DC in like a more comfortable position than Complexity, because Complexity, you know, their lineup sort of requires them to snowball. So I think DC is also aware of that.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
With the constant threat of a push, the constant threat of this early fighting from Complexity, is there a moment where maybe we'll see Complexity fall off heavily and DC really starts to turn this game?
Yeah, I think the timing for DC is going to be the blink on Meepo. I think Abbott's going to work on that Diffusal Blade first, but immediately after pick up the blink, which means that if he blinks in on a hero like Puck, Drow, or Nature's Prophet followed up by Global Silence, it's really hard for Complexity to initiate, especially when I think their only real hard counter to Meepo's the Winter Curse coming up from Z-Freak, and you know, Wyvern's not going to have like an anti-silence mechanic for a really long time, so that gives DC sort of this upper hand going into the mid-late game.
We'll look to take this tier 3. Already for the side of Complexity, they're pushing with those creeps, pushing with those treants. Seems like pressure is on from Complexity. They've taken out the outer tower's bottom. They'll work towards getting the tier 1 and grab it. As well as top, it's heavy pressure onto the side of DC.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Regeneration!
So, you know, DC, they're trying to get as much out of the map as possible. I think DC understand that if Complexity are grouped up, DC would prefer not to fight because it's not easy for their Meepos to enter these engagements. So DC would much rather try to split push, farm, get pickoffs here and there, like we see Meepo or we see Abbott going for these kills on Moo. Stall as much time as possible while DC hit their timing.
Does throw the ulti ice path on top of that Mason, taken out by 3 heroes here. On top of all that, killing the Earthshaker over top with the ulti thrown by Moo. 2 kills go the way of Complexity. Good opportunity to push again. Hero, he's going to be the next one to fall, as well as Bulba. So a double kill now, this time for a win. And Complexity up 14-3.
I don't know if that was sort of a misplay from Bulba, but I don't know if Bulba was expecting Mason to sort of drop there. But if, you know, if Bulba uses Global Silencer, it definitely could have been a counter initiation. But, you know, they bleed 4 kills and it just puts Complexity further ahead. That being said, you know, Abbott's getting closer to his blink, but, you know, by the time he hits blink, if his team is not in a position to help him, then it's still quite a difficult game for Meepo.
It's an 8,000 net worth right now.
You know, it's hard to say because DC, they're also really capable of going for pickups, so it just depends on how Complexity uses that ability.
Roshan has fallen to the down.
You know, Mason's just super far behind now, but now I think it's going to be Abbott's turn to sort of bring his team back into this game.
9,000 net worth lead here. We take a look at what Complexity is bringing to the table, and asking for that fight on the Drought Rangers. Chessie, Nature's Prophet Moo having an alright game at 2-1-5. He's got a 4 staff of his own, and then finally let's take a look at the last core Olymp with that Veil. Now the Aegis looking for the Rule. To the side of DC, pretty much anyone except for Oped's not having that great of a game. Diffusal level 2, looking for that Blink next, and then except for him, Mason really doesn't have all too much.
Yeah, and that Aegis really gives Complexity sort of two really big things. First, it gives them the Aegis themselves, but also, you know, if Abed gets this Aegis on Meepo, it's actually really difficult for Complexity to deal with the Meepo, especially if you kill him twice, and your best solution to him is the Winter's Curse. So, you know, it's a good play from Complexity to take the Aegis there, and we'll see if they manage to get anything with it. I think this Yule's timing is going to be really big on this puck, because without the Yules, you can't phase shift during the Earthbind, and so that Yules will give Limp a lot of extra survivability against the DC lineup, including against the Global Silence as well.
Now setting it to 1,000 net worth lead. Ace Complexity seems like they're really waiting on the side of DC for that Blink Dagger, which Oped is working towards. He's got 1 Meepo over in this jungle on the side of Complexity, 2 working on cleaning up bottom.
Radiant's bottom tower
Just
is
trying
under
to find
attack.
as much farm as he can. With the ulti from Moo. Meanwhile, Bulba goes down as well. 2 die again. It just seems like when DC dies, they die in pairs.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a feed session from DC, and their supports are like not farmed at all, so they're just dying to random Nature's Prophet ultis and random charges. So, you know, DC clearly aren't where they want to be. Complexity definitely in the winning position now, and there's even a 4-staff coming up on this Nature's Prophet. He has it as well.
Finding a little bit of trouble as Op-Ed's trying for the kill. The Earthbind's gonna miss. This Treant's really blocking the way. Exactly, take a look as the Meepo's now in the jungle. I don't know if Op-Ed was paying attention to both fights happening, but Complexity, they managed to take out the Meepos in the jungle, killing off Op-Ed and extending that lead to 12,000.
That was a really cool movement from Complexity, sort of bait through there while charging Abbott in the jungle, so they get a quick kill on him. They should be able to take out another tier 2 top if they make a rotation. DC aren't nearly in a position to stop Complexity from pushing.
Radiant's top tower
Pressure on
is under
these
attack.
towers works on this tier 2 without Op-Ed for 10 seconds. Really is able to just truly push away and be able to solo take this tier 2 while DC, they kind of posture up over towards the tier 3, but everybody else is following up with
Radiant's
Nature's
top
Prophet,
tower
and
has
in
fallen.
fact, he's already moving back, so not like he's going to continue to push forward.
Something else interesting to note is that they don't have any heroes that can safely push out the waves just because there's a Spirit Breaker on the enemy team, and also, you know, Meepo and Weaver. There's a lot of threat to them this game, especially with with high mobility heroes coming from Complexity, like the Nature's Prophet and Puck, and so, you know, Complexity are always going to have the map control advantage, especially if they do a good job of keeping the lanes out, and it's easy for them because they have a Nature's Prophet and Puck. So, you know, DC, they're going to have very few opportunities to go for ganks on Complexity because Complexity can always position themselves a lot better than DC. So, you know, see 14k net worth behind on map control. This is like a really steep battle for them back in the game, but it is very possible just because Meeple's one of those heroes that has such a high damage output that he can pretty much go for a pick off on any of Complexity's heroes if this scenario was correct.
We'll have to see how they handle it, and Meepo now looking towards that blink, about away. See a charge coming up top on Bulba. He might be in a little bit of trouble. The game's trying to hide in the trees. There's the Arcane Curse. That one right. Now the OG follows it up from Silas. It's a solo kill for a Spirit Breaker. Really good control of this Complexity there. They even find out that there's ward there because, you know, Bulba reacted to the charge a little bit suspicious. So Complexity are doing a really good job of sort of keeping DC in their base. You see even Abbott sort of stuck in his base instead of doing what Meepos usually want to do, which is cut waves and farm the jungle. Seems like whenever you see a team corralled in their base, there's just nothing they can do with this kind of deficit except really hope for a really good high ground defense. And they're waiting on Complexity to come to them, and Complexity doesn't really have to make that move.
Yeah, you're right. Complexity doesn't have to make that move. In fact, I imagine they're waiting for some big items on their heroes while they wait for the next Roshan, because, you know, Complexity aren't really in a position to
Double
have to jump the gun.
shall I deal?
They've kept DC in their base, so DC's farm isn't going to go anywhere. And normally when you're playing against Meepo, you might be worried that, you know, he's gonna get farmed to this point where he's just gonna take out your entire team or be able to go for solo kills everywhere. But, you know, I think Complexity are fairly confident in the current position they're in, so they're just splitting up, making sure that DC can't make any big movements. So if anyone gets caught, it's just going to be Z-break and you can tell DC's playing super scared right now, right? And they played super scared for the last 10 minutes, I'd say, so they just slowly fall behind, especially because, you know, Complexity's heroes are so good at taking advantage of farm as it appears on the map. You know, Chessie's been doing Ancient's been doing rotation around the right side of the map, and Moo and Limp have been keeping the lanes out, so Complexity really aren't feeling pressured to make anything happen at all. You know, they're just going to continue to farm, continue to go for pickoffs wherever possible, and try to win the game off of the second Roshan.
So Roche may respawn in 50 seconds. Complexity, they're willing to wait for that. Spirit Breaker going for that. Shadow Blade, a limp over here with Google's Boots of Travel. Blink Hell, he's so farm top of the net worth. If maybe DC can find themselves a 4th kill.
You see Limp even picked up Boots of Travels to help him sort of assist his team in these global gank efforts, and actually, nope, won't catch Mason here. And, you know, DC's doing what they can. They're planting ward vision around Roche, because this second Roche, I think, will really determine where this game goes. You know, if Complexity get this Roshan, I think they automatically win the game as long as they don't screw anything up. And if DC get the Aegis, then, you know, they keep themselves in the game for another 10 to 13 minutes, or maybe even just 5 minutes. But, you know, I think both teams are just sort of posturing themselves on the left side of the map right now, waiting for that Roshan to spawn.
Like DC's last hope is taking this Aegis, and it'll be a boosted net worth for the Meepo, which he desperately needs. It would be a chunk cut from the Complexity net worth lead of 20,000 net worth.
Yeah, a lot of this net worth advantage is coming from the fact that, you know, Complexity's heroes, as I mentioned earlier, they're so efficient at moving around the map and farming. You know, you've got heroes pretty much getting farm in all 3 lanes and the jungle. You know, Z-Freak's been farming the lane, Swindle Mountains has been farming the lane, and the other 3 heroes have just been rotating between the lanes. So, DC, you know, they're really only getting farm on 1 hero right now. Mason's farm isn't really going to accelerate anywhere for a while. Abbott's just basically just getting
The seeds of fortune.
creep waves as they come to his base. So quickly mounting a higher and higher net worth advantage.
He's about 20,000. Roche up in about 15 seconds. Earthbreaker coming in on Mason. Dream Coil is gonna miss, so now Complexity might press the escape key and try to get out of here. But no chase really put on from DC. Not really much confidence to chase down so much.
So I think DC's game plan right now is to play around these wards and sort of wait for Complexity to show an opening where they can use that blink on the Meepo and use the global silence to go for a quick off, especially on one of Complexity's cores. And I think that's where DC's game plan is headed right now.
Charge top, a errant ice path is gonna come through, nowhere near the Spirit Breaker.
Yeah, so some of the mounts have Shadow Blade on the Spirit Breaker, so I saw that the creeps got hit by the charge, but didn't quite know what the positioning of the Spirit Breaker was.
DC can make anything happen. It seems like they're throwing these ice paths, throwing their fissures into no man's land, and this is the opportunity they're gonna have to try and maybe start cutting into this net worth lead of Complexity. Complexity in and out of the road, continue to cut away at it, hoping that maybe DC overstep themselves.
Yeah, but Complexity sort of have the advantage in this scenario because they have a hero like the Prophet that can continue to push out the bottom lane and then rejoin the fight with ease, right? You'll see that this bottom rack is taking a lot of damage, and if DC come back to defend it, then Complexity are just going to re-enter the pit. It's sort of a win-win situation for Complexity right now. Texas Seedland. Crazy
Commander, as well as the rest of this team, they get the global silence coming out. They might get this kill onto the Spirit Breaker. They'll get at least 1, which in itself is still worth quite a bit of gold, but you're now giving up this hero. MSS is going to drop to Limp. They look for possibly more in the silencer as Limp moves on forward, gets a double kill, and he's godlike, so it looks okay for DC, but then losing 2.
Check out the Roche pit.
Probably losing this Roche as well, but Alped is here just trying to fight up against Drow as well as the Nature's Prophet. I don't think he's going to be able to do so easily, and that Meepo just taken out with ease. There's nobody here to help him out. Complexity, they take that kill as well. And now they work on Roche. Echo Slam from Moonmeander trying for a last-ditch effort, but it just doesn't look like it's going to be enough. And he will fall.
Mortality.
Yeah, I mean, both the Meepo and the Earthshaker that are going in was sort of a last-ditch effort that clearly didn't work out. And maybe it would have worked out if they went in together, but, you know, I think those DC heroes just understood that this Aegis sort of spelled the end of their game, because, you know, Complexity are now in a position to win. It's really tough to kill the Drow Ranger and the cheese holder, which is limp twice, so... You know, I imagine as soon as Complexity regroup, they get the lanes out, and then they start to push this this mid racks, and they actually did lose their bottom racks. I didn't notice that, but you know that puts Complexity in a much better position when it comes to getting the lanes out as well.
Yeah, Complexity just playing the perfect game. They have almost a 30,000 net worth lead, which is almost the entire net worth of DC. So their lead is just immense, and they're, you know, down this much. It's never over till it's over, but it just looks very grim for the side of DC.
Yeah, it's a really tough game for DC right now. I imagine they have to win at least like 2 or 3 team fights in a row in order to balance this net worth deficit. And Complexity, they're actually set up here to kill Mason.
Yeah, they do. They've got a sentry ward with the LDM from the Spirit Breaker taken out immediately. They don't even need the Dream Coil that was placed on top of him. He's dead for 50 seconds without buyback. You take a look. The Spirit Breaker tries to get out, but again, DC, there's not really much they can do to throw back at this Complexity lineup.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
See, these towers are just going to melt with these. Also, the Maelstrom Winter Wyvern.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Notice that, but Maelstrom Winter Wyvern will take out the base here. Freeland's going in deep again, trying to push back off it. Will successfully do so, and now they've got the melee racks. They're looking for more. Moonie are going to be in a little bit of trouble as the charge comes in. Spirit Breaker first hit that, because why not? And Z-Freak with another kill. He's got that Maelstrom, so he's hitting really hard, actually.
Complexity have the mid lane of racks, and there's really nothing stopping them from getting this this last lane. So DC, they sort of have to pull off a miracle.
He's going to be bopped while they've got Bulba. You take a look, time lapse used by Mason. They still spot him. The ult to keep him nearby. You've got a Winter Wyvern hitting for 303 damage. There's really nothing they can do as they're going to lose this Jakiro. They get a nice Echo Slam and do end up getting a kill on the Buck, but that's Winter's Curse locking in both the Weaver and Moomiander. Kyle just charging in, hitting away. So they might get another Hashgun and a bash. Mason trying to fight back. It's just a really hard-fought battle from DC, but it just doesn't look like it's coming their way.
You know, they get 2 quick kills in exchange for global and buyout, but you know, it just really stalls the inevitable. But they do survive for now.
Radiant's middle
they have 2
tower
lanes
is
of
under
racks,
attack.
you know, over 30k net worth ahead. And I feel like at this point, it's really difficult for Avid to get anything done. I mean, realistically, if DC were to fight back in this scenario.
There it is. They're just going to tap out there. DC, they call GG. Complexity win this series 2-0. Really just putting a slam DC in this series.
It felt like Complexity, they drafted themselves away to sort of win the lanes and then win the mid-game scenario, right? They had DC completely shut down out of the early game all the way until late game, and then off of the advantage they had built and off of the heroes they had drafted, they just gave DC nothing to accomplish on that map, and as a result, you know, they slowly just starved out DC's farm, and then by the time DC was ready to fight, Complexity was so far ahead that it was basically impossible for DC to get anything done.